And got my red light. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paul Wizzo. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Before I let my guest do his own intro, I just want to go ahead on and cover a few announcements. Hey, never mind, something clicked on over there. Anyway, want to welcome everyone out to Paul Wizzo. You never know what's going to come up. You never know what the topic is going to be, and never know which way the conversation is going to go. If you'd like to subscribe to Wizzo Talk, please hit me up on YouTube. And remember, damn, let me get myself together. Remember to hit that notification bell when you subscribe. The link is in the description. So, because I post at different times according to my guest availability. So if you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we go live. You'd like to be a guest on the show? Also, hit me up in the comments or send me a message, a pigeon, a bat, a bird, or whatever. As my guest did once, going to intro himself in just a moment. That's what he did. Reached out to me, wanted to come on to Wizzo Talk. So remember, Wizzo Talk is also on Spotify. If you just want to check it out while you're driving up the road, check it out. Listen to Wizzo Talk on Spotify. I think that covers everything that I at least wanted to cover. My intro changes every time we log on, but appreciate your support. So with that being said, we're gonna let my guest do his intro, and then we're gonna get on right off into the main topic. Go ahead, there, Drake.
Yeah, I'm Dracos, and it's actually an honor to be here. I've actually thought about, doing this for a while, especially with a lot of stuff that's been going on right now in the world, and it just felt like I needed like a platform to kind of just let it all out instead of just, rambling to family members about it.
Okay, well, good. Well, you come to the right place, the Wizzo Talk, because we play it like you said, uncut, unedited, unscripted, all that shit. So you free to let out whatever you wanted to talk about. And right now, you said we want kind of just a little summary of the title. It was Generation AI and the MAGA agenda. So I know that you wanted to cover something about the election. So I'm going to step back for a moment. I may have a few questions for you, or may some questions may pop up in the comments. But I'm gonna let you go ahead on and take us away with it. What you got on that election right there, Drake?
So yeah, the 2024 election, it was actually a very interesting thing. I was watching the results of the election, and obviously it didn't go the way I wanted to, but it's like, I felt like I was a spectator, even though I did participate in the democratic process. It felt like my vote was like a ticket to a football game, and it was like my ticket was to sit on the Democrat side while they just get the just get the what beat out of them.
Right.
And it was like it didn't feel satisfying to partake in the democratic process just by voting. It just feels like, it would be better to get more active, politically and actually be on the front lines, actually be on the field. It's like one of those things as a football fan where you see your favorite team stink and you're just like, you know what, put me in there, coach. I'm ready to play.
Right. Okay, that's what's up. So let me ask you this. So, I mean, in your opinion, why do you think so many people of color voted for Trump?
Well, honestly, I don't even think it's a much of an issue involving people of color voting for Trump. I think it's just people in general voting for Trump. I think the thing is, it's just like his rhetoric is it speaks to certain people because the thing is, his rhetoric is basically a right wing form of populism, which is basically like, with populism, the idea is that I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a moment, but the idea of populism is basically just the system's rigged. The politicians are looking out for like the interests of the many few instead of the majority, which is everyday Americans. And and he's kind of right on that. It is true, our system is rigged, and there's a lot of people that are not. A lot of our politicians in power are actually looking out for the interests of many few. It's just the thing is, I disagree with. So I don't think the best way to solve the issue is by just like, oh yeah, if we deport the immigrants, everything goes back to normal to whatever year you might be nostalgic about that you think everything was perfect, because I think the main issue is that a lot of these politicians are bought out by a lot of these corporations and billionaires and things like that. And I know not everyone wants to hear that, but that is really true, is that the main issue is that a a lot of these politicians, especially the Democratic Party, I think, have kind of distanced themselves from focusing on issues that affect all working class voters, regardless of their race, gender, political leanings, gender identity, all kinds of stuff like that.
Okay. You have a comment in there that Mark, and welcome in, Mark. I kind of figured you'd be here. Appreciate it. Even though your comments is however they are, they welcome here. I really don't, doesn't matter to me. But Mark is saying the 2024 election will save this country. You know, Trump is America first. Now, Trump is America first. I'm not going to comment on that yet, but you got anything on that comment right there? You should be able to see that comment also.
Yeah. I see the comment. I mean, he does a good job at selling the idea that he's America first, but I think it's more like he's more him first. I mean, I think he enjoys the idea of being in power more than pushing any kind of agenda specifically. I mean, with a lot of these executive orders, he's just throwing at everything to see what sticks, because he's just seeing like, okay, what can I get away with without needing Congress to pass laws, really? I mean, I can empathize with the idea of like, you know, America does need to be first. I can kind of agree with that. It's just that I think I disagree with the way Trump is doing it. It's like, oh yeah, America will be first as long as we bring back prayer in schools, or like America will be first as long as we, you know, cast these group of people to the side or get rid of these people. You know, it's just like, I think the best way for America to truly be first is if the working class are actually being properly represented by people that are not bought out by a lot of these billionaire politicians, including, you know, Elon Musk, who is like, you know, oligarchy on steroids, really, because it's like, you know, beforehand we always had billionaires throwing money at politicians, both Democrat and Republican, but like he's doing on a whole nother level, because not only is he throwing his millions and millions of dollars, he's also, you know, bought a platform where he can basically just signal boost whatever agenda he wants. And now it's like we got this guy having like keys to the government in the way, and it's like, yeah, I'm sure a lot of Trump supporters are happy, like, oh yeah, Trump signed an executive order saying like, oh, there's only two genders and stuff like that, but like on the wayside, your Social Security is probably going to get cut because billionaire Elon Musk is like, oh yeah, you don't deserve it, even though you worked hard for it all your life to get that far.
Well, you know, they saying that Elon Musk is really the president, not Trump. Just like they said when Obama was running the White House instead of Biden. But when you ask some of the Trump supporters about Elon being the president, of course, they got everything in the world for him about that. But let me just, that was just a little statement I want to make. But when you talk about America first, now, when I believe it was, I think it was Trump, or one of them was, when they were giving out money in, what is that, stimulus check and the extra on employment and stuff like that to Americans, you had people here in America really getting pissed off because they were getting, some of the people was getting money and then the other people wasn't getting money. But yet whenever America is sending money to all other foreign countries and everything, then no one is really saying anything about that. Some, but it's not as much. But my point is, it just seemed like Americans are getting mad because they didn't get a piece of the damn pie, and some of them did. So just questioning about that, talking about America first. Go ahead, Drake.
So it's basically about the stimulus check you're talking about from like back during the pandemic.
Well, I was just talking about basically about the putting America first. That seems like when the pandemic happened, and then they're giving money out and money out. I think Steve Mnuchin said the 1,200 wasn't enough, and I think Trump wanted to give out more. I can't remember, but I'm just talking about, isn't that a way of putting America first, as opposed to maybe the tariffs that they putting on the other countries, which they're saying, and I haven't done any research on it, saying that how it's going to raise the prices here. What I mean? Well, let me just ask you this: in your opinion, what has, or Mark that's listening in, I've asked Mark this before and he never did answer the question. What is the Republican Party doing for the middle class, or have done, or plan to do?
Honestly, I think the Republican Party is basically on vibes and aesthetic right now. I mean, it's like, they talk a big game about being for the working class and stuff like that, but it's like, they're more than willing to try and pass legislation that are gonna cut people's benefits, whether it's Social Security, health care, things like that. And I understand some people might think like, oh yeah, people on these benefits are freeloaders, but it's like these people, it really helps people get to where they are right now. I mean, uh, it's just like, it's like neither party is really working for the working class. They're just talking a big game in a way that appeals to them. The Republican Party, their idea is just like, oh yeah, if we get rid of the immigrants, then it's like, oh yeah, working class jobs will come back and everything will be fine. And the Democrats are just like, there's nothing wrong. Everything's perfectly fine. There's no solution to the problem. Everything's all good here. You know,
Right. Right.
my millionaire donor said it was fine, so it must be fine. You guys want money to buy a house? I can give you a little bit of money for that. You know.
Right. Okay. Well, you can check out the comments. Hey, Chris, what's up? And I know you and Mark. I know y'all too was gonna be in the room, so appreciate it. And your comments are welcome. I share most of them on the screen that I can or stuff like that. Drakus, you're more than welcome to look in the comments if you'd like to address some of that stuff. You can. Uh, I'll address some of it as we go along or something like this. But let me ask you this: so do you think Kamala Harris was a better choice over Trump?
Um, it's very much a lesser of two evils things. The thing is, she didn't run a good campaign. I mean, the thing is, it's like, 2020, Biden was able to win by saying like, oh yeah, we need to stop Trump. He's dangerous. But it's like after 4 years while you're in office, no one's going to want to hear that a second time and vote for you a second time when it's like the price of gas is high, the price of eggs is high, the price of all kinds of stuff is up high, and it's like why should we vote for you when it's like things got worse under you from our perspective. It's like we might as well just give the other guy a shot. And that's the issue is that the thing is the Democratic Party didn't have a message beyond we need to stop Trump. But it's like most people don't care about that. They care about who's going to provide a solution to deal with their problems economically, and that's the issue. The Democratic Party didn't have a good message on how they're going to help out the working class. They just said everything is fine.
Right. So do you think that maybe she didn't have enough time to run a good campaign? I mean,
I
it's short.
mean, in an ideal world, Biden would not run for a second term at all, and the Democrats would have a real primary. So then they can actually pick the best person, instead of just being like, Biden dropped out. I guess we'll just go with the vice president. We only have 100 days to do this.
Right. Right. Okay. Now the guys in the comments is talking about, we can't give illegal legals food stamps. And you know, I can go a whole lot of different ways with that, but I mean, I don't know if they are or not. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. Mark, I guess, like I say, everybody's entitled to their own opinion or whatever like that. But I know from some of the guys that I know and see that probably are illegals, they are driving big old ass trucks. They are spending money and paying the shit out of a whole lot of taxes, which some Americans don't want to pay here now. So I don't think all of them, which because we can't say all of them, are on food stamps and housing. I think Mark made a comment once before that they're giving the uh, housing, taking the housing from the veterans and giving it to the immigrants and what are the migrants, which I don't know where he has that proof, but maybe he does, maybe he don't. I have no idea. So what are your thoughts on anything? Well, you just addressed about Kamala being and what she's doing. I get distracted because I'm looking at the comments over here and just trying to share a few of them because I can't. But like I said, if you see something you want to entertain, by all means, go ahead and entertain those comments.
And
But
I'm not really interested in entertaining it at this time, really.
right. Okay. Well, we can keep on going on with what we're going on, and I'll share it on the screen as we go. So, what else you got on there then? I mean, you reached out to me and you wanted to come on, so I know you're not nowhere near as through or finished with what you wanted to talk about, because we've only been talking about 15 minutes. So you reached out to me. You wanted to cover something called the Generation AI and the MAGA agenda.
Oh yeah. Generative AI. Actually, it's called generative AI, and it's a lot of these AI generated tools. Basically, they're programmed to generate anything you want just by typing in lines of text. You want to type in an image of a cat. You can just type in, hey, draw me a picture of a cat, and the cat gets generated. And that's cool and all, but the thing is, it's like there's a lot of ethical concerns involving generative AI. I mean, one of them being is that the training data that's used to make it, a lot of it is just data scraped from the internet without people's consent, whether it be corporations, whether it be regular people, whether it be, a lot of people's intellectual properties are being stolen. And honestly, odds are pictures of yourselves might be used as training data for some of this generative AI. I mean, right now, Meta has their generative AI tools, and anything you post publicly on Facebook or Instagram, that's going in their training data to train their AI to generate images, make fake profiles that pretend to be human, or to try to answer questions that you could easily just use by Google. It's just a big ethical concern, and honestly, misinformation as well. I mean, generative AI has gotten so good over the years to where it's getting harder and harder to tell when a generative AI image is real or fake, and that can be very bad, especially when you deal with generative AI videos, because I remember a few years ago, I watched a video that was generative AI. It was Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it was nightmare fuel. It was just a complete and utter mess. And then a few years later, it looked almost close to real life. So it's like, in theory, someone could make generative AI of you, for example, committing a crime, and then it's like, okay. Now we can't tell what's real or not based on video evidence, because now people can just fake a whole on scenario.
Right. And it's just kind of like people now that's posting different comments on Facebook, different sayings, different whatever. I mean, you have no idea what's real or what to follow. People posting just a shitload of fake stuff. But let me ask you, so now that AI is here, which we know is here to stay, in your opinion, will people start to lose jobs behind AI?
I think people are actually losing jobs right now. There's a lot of companies that are laying people off, so then they can just hire these people called AI prompters who can basically, like, for example, if you want to make a movie, instead of hiring, animators for your animated movie, you could just get a prompter who's skilled at learning these AI prompt tools that can just type in, okay, generate me a fight scene of two superheroes fighting a bad guy, and it's like instead of getting an actual person to animate that scene, you're getting like a prompter that you might pay six figures, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's cheaper than hiring a bunch of animators. And it's like, okay, that's a smart cost cutting idea, but it's like now there are a bunch of people without jobs, and also the quality of the media will drop down. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't really pleased with a lot of the mainstream movies out there, but it's going to get even worse, and it's going to get more oversaturated. Because the thing is with generative AI, you can generate something in a matter of a minute. So just imagine, in theory, just seeing like 50 movies coming out on the same day, for example. Like I already see that on various websites. Sometimes you'll just see like one account that just posts like 100 images in the span of 30 minutes, and it's like, was that really necessary? They're basically the same but slightly different, and it's like, it's just oversaturating the internet in general, and it's removing the quality of like the human aspect of the internet.
Well, since you mentioned humans, so do you think AI will eventually replace the humans? I mean,
You
what do you think?
mean you mean like something in those sci-fi movies?
Yeah, like so, because usually when we see stuff like that on movie, then it wind up coming true. We wind up hearing about it and seeing it later. So, do you think, or what do you think about that?
I mean, I don't think there's going to be like a bunch of robots trying to take over the world or anything, but I do think if there isn't like some sort of regulation against this AI stuff, it's gonna hurt a lot of people, and it might even hurt people you don't expect. Because the thing is, I just believe the arts and sciences are very valuable, and if we let machines basically just generate our entertainment, you know, we basically lose that part of humanity and human interaction.
Right. Okay. I hear you. Now, I mean, you probably don't remember, but back in the day, we used to have operators as far as the phone when you had to call and dial and call operator, whatever, whatever. And now a lot of that's been transferred to the machine, the AI, and it's been in the making and been in the making and so forth. It finally came on out. So I'm just kind of wondering, and then I've seen that I think Wendy's restaurant have it now to where I don't know if it said all of them, but the guy was on 60 Minutes talking about it. When you pull up right there, a human doesn't take your order no more. The AI takes it. It fixes it, it corrects it, it does whatever. And just to switch gears right here, just to see what Chris is saying, AI can be hacked. I agree with that. I mean, they hacking the electronic cars. I think anything that's hooked to the Wi-Fi, did whatever, can be hacked. I mean, you talk about the robots, but if you go back and look at the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, shit, it's probably a shitload of robots being made right now that we don't even know about.
Yeah. There are definitely robots being made, but it's like right now they're not like they're not like anything like you'd see in a game like Detroit Become Human, where it's like you got these robots that are basically human in everything except for like the inner workings, the guts and all that.
Well, I mean, they put it out there. More, I'll get sidetracked because, like I say, I look at some of these comments right here and
Yes,
stuff
yes,
going
yes,
on.
yes.
So,
I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware.
uh, but just to go and ask you about, just to get back on to, Trump for just a moment, because you're talking about the MAGA agenda. What do you think the MAGA agenda, full agenda, is? I mean, he's the people that he's selected for his administration. Some of them are getting approval. I will agree. Well, I don't know if I agree with it or not, but for one thing, first I'm gonna say this about Kennedy. Kennedy's ass is just too damn old. He need to get his ass out of there. You can't even understand what the hell he's saying, pretty much. But I know he's talking something about the food and the things that's going into the food and the vaccines and stuff like that. But my thing is just to talk about the food. There are too many chemicals in our food, and maybe he's one that can change that. He's already talking about changing and taking out that red dye number 3, I think it is. And I don't know if that's because of him coming up now saying a bunch of things. He hadn't been approved yet. But just what do you think about what do you think the MAGA agenda really is?
Well, one thing I'll talk about is the RFK thing first. I mean, I definitely think that there's a lot of unnecessary stuff in our food, and it's very noticeable when you compare it to other countries with their products as well. And I can kind of agree with people that definitely do have concerns about the foods in our products. I just don't not entirely sure if RFK is the right guy for it, because I think some of the stuff he says about vaccines is a bit too dangerous. I mean, I understand skepticism and I understand people's right to choose what to do with their body, but at the same time, it's like, um, we got a measles outbreak and we got that thing situated like a long time ago, and that was because of vaccines. I feel like vaccines are a net good, and it's just overall a net good scientifically. I mean, a lot of diseases that used to result in death or mass sickness are no longer were no longer a thing until anti-vaxxer rhetoric rose up, and it rose up before even the COVID vaccine happened. The COVID vaccine concerns are what basically amplified it times 50, and now it's like any vaccine is automatically seen.
You froze for a second. I heard any vaccines, and now say what now?
Oh man, yeah, I thought there was a freeze, but basically I was saying it's like ever since the COVID vaccine thing, it's like the skepticism on vaccines has escalated to the point where it's like any kind of vaccine is seen as bad when it's like, because of vaccines, certain diseases basically became irrelevant until people stopped getting vaccinated from them. Kind of like the measles, for example,
Right. Yes, I hear you on that because so okay, we're talking about that. And you mentioned that about Kennedy and all that. So now the MAGA agenda, because earlier you said how Trump is just signing, executive orders left and right. Probably don't even know what he's signing. They just put it in front of him. So what do you think the overall MAGA agenda is?
Well, I think overall the MAGA agenda it is involving like just marketing "Make America Great Again," but it's like they also want to dismantle so many key systems like the Department of Education. It seems like they want to get rid of that, and honestly, I think that's a bit of a concern because I do value education as an important thing. And although I understand some people might think like, okay, we spend too much here, we spend too much there. But I think there's certain things that are important to spend on just because I think it's a net good for society in general.
Right. Okay. So what do you say to well, I talked about the Board of Education a while back because they put out some shit that I really just don't agree with myself. And maybe it does need to be changed or updated or something, or maybe some of the people on that panel needs to get their ass off of there because they're too old and can't relate to this day and time. But what do you think about Trump with the asking all of the federal employees to pretty much step down or resign?
Honestly, it feels like a lot of his things involving the FBI is very petty. And I think that's one issue with Trump is that he can be very petty, he can be very vindictive. He can be he can be very petty, vindictive, and vengeful. And I don't think that's necessarily someone you want in power. I mean, because the thing is, it's like trust me, there is someone out there that is kind of like Trump, minus the baggage that could have been voted. But it's like we got the absurdity going on right there. And yeah, he did win by the popular vote, and I will agree with that. But it's like I can still disagree with what the majority says. I mean, in 2016 he didn't get the popular vote. In 2020 he didn't get the popular vote. I mean, I don't think it's a matter of him specifically. It's a matter of people are just fed up with the status quo, and they just want some sort of shakeup, regardless of what it is. Anyone could have probably ran against Kamala or Biden and possibly won as long as they pitched for something different, and that's the issue with the Democratic Party in general. I think the Democratic Party will be better once they get a lot of the old establishment people out and get people that are actually anti-establishment and are actually want to, shake things up in a way that actually helps out working class individuals of all backgrounds, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender, regardless of, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, because there's so much more that brings us together than what separates us. And a lot of these politicians are kind of, dividing us on petty culture war stuff, whether it's about, differences between race, whether it's about, immigration, even though we do need a secure border, I just think, there might need to be more humane ways of doing it and a bit more organized ways of doing it. Because it's like, although we do got some illegal immigrants here, not all of them are inherently bad. Some of them are actually productive members of society. So it's like, doing this mass roundup of just trying to find anyone that might be an immigrant, and if they don't got the papers, we try to detain them, and it's just very hectic.
Right. Right, and I'm gonna say this, and I got two things that I want to cover while you reload. Um, and in my opinion, why Trump won the popular vote is because he was running against that black woman Kamala Harris, and more of the white people said, "If that, no, we're not having that. We already had Obama in there. We not fixing to get no black female up in there." That's why I think more of them just came out. And if she'd have had maybe a little bit longer time to run, maybe she'd have done better, but she got a lot of votes. But I think I've done some research on it before, but I think the Republican Party hadn't won the popular vote since Bush, one of them Bushes. I forgot which Bush it was.
It was probably George W. I
Yeah,
think.
it's
I'm
one of
pretty
them
sure.
Bushes.
I'm pretty sure he won the popular vote at
Yeah,
least once.
right. And so it hadn't been won against then, and now, and like you said, he didn't win. Trump didn't win in 20. So it's just my thoughts that's why the American people came out and they like, no, we're not fixing to do that. And you already know sometimes you have more people of color that vote that doesn't vote as opposed to a lot of the whites that does. And they like, no, we're not fixing to have Kamala up in there. But let me say this right here. This is for Mark and Chris. um, Mark, I know I've invited you on the show multiple times. Chris, I can't remember if I've invited you on, but I will be more than glad to have you guys on the show, and I will assemble a panel and we can talk about some politics. Seem like you guys know a lot about politics and stuff like that. So all you guys got to do is just say the word. That's an invitation to you, Mark and Chris. You guys are always on in my comments, and I still appreciate that because you're free to say whatever the hell you want to say. But if you like to be on the show, hit me up. I think my guest, my viewer right here watching right now, JW Mark, asked you the last time won't come on the show. So with that being said, I just want to make sure I extend that invitation because Mark and Chris, I have three guys that I would love to have you guys on the podcast with. So if you're worried about showing your face, you don't have to do that. You already know you can block the camera out. So I'm just saying I want to extend that invitation out to you guys right there. Okay, Drake, what else you have right there? Go ahead.
Yeah. I actually lost my train of thought for the moment. But yeah, I did see one comment. And I think one thing the Democratic Party needs to do for the future is more like instead of focusing. I think instead of focusing on who's going to be the next president, focus on 2026 where it's like the midterms are coming.
Right.
One thing that's very important is that you don't make change happen just by voting every 4 years or every 2 years. You make change by organizing. You make change by helping out your community. You help by getting involved at the local level.
Right.
There's so many people. Just try to be good, nice to your neighbor. Could just be enough. Or donating to causes you care about.
And let me address two things in the comments. First, Chris, how much do we get paid? Nothing. Wizzo Talk don't get paid. So, and like I've said before, I was probably spent about $15,000 starting my podcast up because I didn't have shit. I'm in a studio that I had built. So you get paid nothing. But you are more than welcome to come on up on here and talk your crap and express yourself uncut and unedited. You don't hear any beeping going on. If you watch the show many times, Chris, so you know I drop a whole lot of F-bombs, especially the one about from the back. And then just to go on to talk about, let me see, to address this comment, they all broke the law. Well, I'm not going to entertain that on breaking the law because, you got all them J6 riders, but, they get a pass mainly because they was 90% or 98, 99% white, 99.9%. I think I saw a couple of dots in there. And we all know that Trump didn't broke the law. We also know
Yeah,
that
we have a felon president. We literally have a convicted felon, and it's like you could try to say it's a witch hunt, but after so many times of being charged with crimes, at some point, it's got to be you. At some point, you got to have done something wrong. It's like when it comes to the concept of laws and stuff like that, a lot of people pick and choose what laws to follow. Like I'm sure a lot of people have jaywalked. I'm sure a lot of people have pirated a movie, and yet we're not like, okay, send them to jail, charge them with a fine and stuff like that. It's like It's like, yeah. Some people do commit crimes, but I also think there's an opportunity for redemption and stuff like that as well too. And it's like, I think when it comes to illegal immigrants, we could make it easier for them to seek amnesty so then they can stay in the country in a legal fashion, and continue to be productive members of society because, not everyone is this violent criminal that they're portrayed as, because it's just like if you do commit a crime and you're not supposed to be in the country, they have even more of a reason to send you back. Like heck, a lot of them are just trying to come here so then they can send money to their family so they can live a better life. Committing a crime is not exactly helpful. Killing someone, isn't going to help you out with your cause. It's just going to send you back.
Right. And I agree with that. And also that you have some of the immigrants that's here now that don't support the ones that's coming in illegal because they had to wait in line and go through the process. And so a lot of them are pissed off because, hey, I had to go through this process or whatever. And now they coming on over here and doing whatever. And some of them are probably committing crimes. Now, do I believe 45 and 47 for saying that? No, I don't believe him because he's just been a proven liar to me or whatever. But hey, everybody have a choice to do whatever they want to. Chris, I appreciate you loving the show. Thank you. Because we just come on here and we just say it like we said, uncut and unedited. So and that's what I was just talking about on far as breaking the law goes. So those of you that's watching, we just talking about the AI and the MAGA agenda. So feel free to post your comments and we'll share them on the screen if possible. Meanwhile, I'll let my guest carry on with his next one. But before you do, I'm going to go back up here to this comment right here, which is what I've said right now. The government that's off in there now, in my opinion, if they're over 65, they need to get their ass out of there because they can't relate to the new day and time, to the Gen Z and whatever they say this next generation coming out. Because I've said before that the TV signed off when I was growing up. So if them guys on there is 80 years old, they was listening to the damn radio. They've been off in the Congress, in the House, and the Senate too many years. And when we was talking about breaking the law, you already have the Supreme Court justices that's been proven and been seeing how they're breaking the law, how they're taking money. And I mean, they all taking money. It reminds me of the movie Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy when he ran for president. One of the guys after he won, the guy, and I can't get it exactly. He asked Eddie Murphy, well, what do you think about cotton? Eddie Murphy said, well, I don't know. What should I think about cotton? Well, the guy said, well, if you for it, I got this group of money over for here. If you're against it, then I got this money over here for you. All them jokers in there are filthy rich. Mr. Freeze, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. I mean, the list goes on and on. They need to get out. But a lot of Republicans, I think, are just feared. Trump didn't put fear in them. So they go along with whatever he says so they don't lose their job so they can go and keep it. But that's just my opinion. So that's just a little blabber right there from me there, Drake. So what you got on there?
Well, yeah, I kind of do agree on that. That's the main thing is that when it comes to Trump, he gained a lot of power to the point where it's like, if you don't fall in line in the Republican Party, you're going to get replaced by someone in the primary, either because he's going to prop up a politician out of nowhere in the primaries, or either someone like Elon Musk is going to just throw a bunch of money at your opponents to make sure you lose. And I think that's one issue with the oligarchy, because the thing is, America's been an oligarchy for a long time. It's not just this election. A lot of big billionaires have all tried to weigh their thumbs on the scales. And I think one thing that we should do for the long term is try to end that by actually supporting candidates that are part of grassroots movements. People that aren't like taking money from these lobbyists and from these millionaires and billionaires. And there's a lot of politicians out there that are running for office whether it be for Congress, whether it be for like state and local stuff. And the best thing to do, I'd recommend, is just to go out there and look for them. Look for people that aren't being bought out and don't seem like that they'll ever get bought out, you know. And I think that that's how we lead to a future where it's like our Congress truly represents us and our interests as working class people. Because as I said before, you know, well, whether we're black, white, yellow, green, whatever, you know, we're all in the same boat, just trying to get by every day, just trying to do our jobs, get paid a decent wage, be able to go to the doctor without having to pay a bunch of money, because it is kind of a nightmare out like heck. A lot of people fear going to the emergency room and having to take an ambulance because that will bankrupt them.
Right.
Whereas, you know, in some other countries, you know, it's not like that.
Exactly. And I'm gonna just touch on Mark's comment right here. This comment, you can't come here illegal, period. Well, Mark, I know you've been on the show a lot of times and you've seen Seven on here, my guest. Seven will eat you alive with that comment right there, because he's already said that this land is stolen, that the white people pretty much came here and stole it. So what do you say about that? But it goes back to when Drake was talking about earlier. We kind of pick and choose on what laws we want to follow and support and stuff like that. So, you know, and that was just a little comment on that right there. And then on for as you talking about the Congress for working class people, I think that Congress, a lot of them, not all of them, but are for money. Because you even have this one, and I didn't know this was coming up, or I would have had a note. I think his name is Mark Menendez. I think that they found a shitload of money in his house. You know, I mean, and Clarence Thomas taking money. So my point is, I don't think that, you know, Congress, I think the times are changing, and I think they just kind of, some of them are trying to fatten their own pockets, and they're not thinking about the American people. And that's just my thoughts on that. So what else you got right there, Drake?
Well, yeah, that is an issue. I mean, a lot of them are taking money, and it's like they're able to get away with it because that's just, you know, it's just a regular Tuesday over there. And like I said before, I think the best way to do that is for all of us to come together as a working class people and actually, you know, try to make sure we get people in the future that are generally about our interests instead of just giving us basic wins, you know, that sound like a W, you know.
Right. Well, you know, when you say for working class people, and I can't help but to think, I passed by, well, me and my youngest son went fishing one time, and we went out somewhere, I think maybe it was in Waco, and I saw some of the run down, trashes looking hole in the wall houses that people were living in, and they are straight Trump. They were straight Republican all the way. And me, I would vote for certain issues. Like, you know, I think that a woman should have a choice to do with her body whatever she wants. What gives a man the right to tell a woman what to do with her body? You know, so, and then I believe in term limits and stuff like that. But a lot of those things are not, some of those things are not coming up uh, in the election process like that. And then
Hmm.
also, whenever you're watching these candidates run, you have to know how to separate uh, a bucket of crap to all. I mean, you know, because some of them can tell you a whole bunch of crap up there, but it's about control. If they don't have control of the House or the Senate, it's not going anywhere. Right now, the Republicans got control of the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court. So they can do pretty much whatever they want to.
Well, I
Until
wouldn't say that entirely though, because the thing is, it's like they have a slim majority in some of these areas. I mean, all it takes is for like a few Republicans to just vote alongside Democrats on the law, and the thing is, that's probably possible because you know, at the end of the day, all of these elected officials they prioritize their job more than anything, and if they live in like a district where it's like purple, you know, where it's like, you know, 50-50 Republican and Democrat, you know, they're probably going to try to lean a bit more moderate and toe the line.
I think when you were saying that right now, if it's a straight vote, the Republicans win both House and the Senate. Now, I think that I believe it was the Senate can only lose 3 votes or whatever, something like that. But I'm not sure. I have to just kind of go back. But right now, they until the midterm election, they have control of the House and Senate in certain things where they only have to get a percentage of the votes or something like that. So right now, I mean, I kind of disagree with you a little bit, but hey, we do that here on Wizzo Talk. I think they have complete control on certain items where if they need a straight vote, but that's just my thoughts.
Well, yeah, they do have a lot of control, I think, involving the votes. But the thing is, it's like, a Republican doesn't always vote alongside Republicans on every issue, and a Democrat doesn't always vote on Democrats on every side of issue. Like, one example is like during the Biden administration, because there were things they were trying to get passed through the Senate, but it's like, there were always like two Democrats that would like vote against, that would vote alongside the Republicans, to where like, okay, the 50-50 split didn't really matter for them, because it's just like, oh, there's one Democrat that's owned by the oil industry, so if it's like anything involving the environment, he's going to vote against. If it's anything right against the oil industry, they'll vote against. And that's one issue with our system in general, is that a lot of these politicians are going to vote not based on what their constituents want necessarily, but based on what their donors that are billionaires want, because it's like in a lot of red states, they'll vote for a Republican senator, but at the same time they'll also like vote to add like this one part of their state's constitution to allow abortion and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, you voted for an anti-abortion senator, but it's like at the same time you also voted to allow abortion to be a thing in your state legally. And it's like a mixed messaging, And I think that's a sign that even though you're a Republican, you might not align with Republicans as much as you might think. Like one interesting example, I remember seeing this one clip of AOC, which I'm sure a good amount of people watching probably aren't a fan of her. But one interesting thing is that in her district, there were people that voted for both her for Congress and also voted for Trump for president, though. And their answers when she asked was that they both think that AOC and Trump are both anti-establishment. And that kind of shows that, hey, people are just tired with the establishment, whether it's from the Democrats or the Republicans. And the thing is, if we can come together on an agenda that we can all agree on that will benefit all of us, I think we'll have a better America for everyone, and not just, one group here or one group there,
That would be nice, but like let's see, where is it? Chris said, it's human nature to divide and conquer. So I mean, that's on that comment. And then just to address Mark, Chris replied or kind of answered my invitation. I haven't heard anything from you. So again, you're more than welcome to come on Wizzo Talk and voice your comments, and I can assemble a panel, or if you want to come on solo like Dracus is by itself, you're more than welcome to do that also. So again, I just want to make sure that Chris, Mark, you guys follow me a lot. I appreciate your support. You have an open invitation to come on Wizzo Talk anytime you get ready. With that being said, let me come back over here to Dracus. So Dracus, do you think that the country is moving forward or in the right direction under the Trump administration? He's got getting almost all his people in line that he wants in key positions. So do you think they're going to be moving forward, or you think we're moving backwards, in your opinion?
Honestly, I don't know. It's just it's just the same old. It's just the first term he had, but like on steroids, basically. I mean, it's more like I'm just kind of waiting it out to see how things. I'm not really I'm not really that focused on Trump. I'm more focused on what I can do to help people that I think need help at this time. Because I think that's more important. Is to start. With your community, start things on grassroots political movements. Start a political movement that can actually be beyond just like, hey, we need to stop this guy, and more like, hey, we need to come together and make things better for everyone, you know?
Right, right. Well, that would definitely be nice. I tell you what, when you said that the Trump, this administration is just him on steroids, well, I mean, now he has almost total immunity, so he can almost do whatever he wants
I
to. I
mean, in
mean,
theory, it's just too
almost.
early for me to say anything because it's just like, you know, it feels like it's been ages, but it's only been like, I don't know, maybe like a week or two. And
Right,
it's just like the executive orders, it's just like, okay, he's basically just trying to see what he can get away with
right,
early on. And it's like, I'm sure in his mind, he's thinking like, oh yeah, some of the stuff will get contested, but hey, I got the Supreme Court on my side. So we can see what the Supreme Court does. It's all just a test, really, to see what he can get away with the next 4 years without doing things the old fashioned way of running a country.
right, right. Okay, okay. Let me just give a shout out to Rice. What's up, Rice? I see you, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Anyone else out there that's watching, I appreciate you. Whether you're watching it now or watching it later, remember that it's 100% free to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your support. So make sure if you don't want to watch it, then share it, and then maybe someone of your friends or someone else will like to watch it. So it's 100% free. Don't cost a thing. So let me ask you this right here, then, Drakus. What industries do you think will have the biggest impact over the next 10 years with AI?
Um, I'd say it's mainly the tech industry, but it seems like the government is trying to join in on this. Basically the space race, but for AI, where it's like they're trying to compete with China against this AI thing, and now it's like, yep, AI is here to stay because now the government wants to try and be like,
Right,
yeah, we're going to be number one in AI.
right, right, right. Well, I mean, and that's kind of like with when we talked here a little bit earlier about TikTok, and Elon Musk. I think that's who they're trying to get to buy, to purchase TikTok is him. So then he'll own that and X or something. And then I know it's some other guy, but I mean, that's just my thoughts.
Honestly, I think that'd be a nightmare because I've seen what Elon's done with Twitter. Like I could just go on and on about it. It's like okay, at first his sales pitch was like, oh yeah, we're gonna make this be this free speech haven where it's like a town hall where no one's putting their thumb on the scale like the old owners. And then it's like immediately he was slowly doing all that. It's like when it comes to free speech, there are like some people that are like, yes, freedom of speech is important, and then like some people's idea of free speech is just being able to say something racist without being criticized for it, and
Right.
that's their idea of free speech. And it feels like Elon's free speech leans more towards that, and it's like I think it's good to have a town square where people can have their ideas, but it's pretty clear what he's doing. He wants to use social media to push whatever agenda will get him what he wants, which is more money and more power. He pretends to care about average everyday people, but all he cares about is filling his own pockets and stroking his own ego. I mean, he's just one big egomaniac.
Right. I've always kind of said that the rich, I mean, the Republicans just this they never have enough money. Well, and shit, that might be some of the Democrats up in there too. I'm really not sure, but I mean, Trump's going to get richer. One of the guys, I don't know if it was, no, it wasn't Mark. It was this other guy that I know that said how Trump's not even taking pay in the White House. Well, shit, there was a whole lot of presidents didn't take pay uh, when they were off in the White House or something. I think Biden did. I'm not sure if he did or didn't, but shit, because they know they're gonna get it from somewhere else. But that's just my thought and my opinion. So I don't know. But just to let everybody know, we're just talking about Generation AI and the MAGA agenda. Have one of my guests, Drake, has reached out to me, just wanted to come on the show and talk a little bit about the MAGA agenda and AI. So, as I've always extended the invitation to anyone that wants to come on Wizzo Talk, all you have to do is just reach out to me. We'll make it happen. It ain't nothing but to send you a link. Click on the link. If you don't want to show your face on the camera, you don't have to. Just cut your camera off. But so if you'd like to be a guest on the show, just reach out to me. It's pretty easy. Or let me back that up and just say, use a Dion quote. I ain't hard to find. I'm just saying. So with that being said, Drake, so let me see. I had another question for you. What concerns, if any, do you have about the future of AI? And I think you may have kind of answered that a little bit because we're talking a little bit about AI. So, do you have any concerns about?
Yes. I definitely do. I think the issue is um is an oversaturation of just slop on the internet, because the internet is like the perfect place as a source of information, a source of freedom and privacy and things like that. But it's like with all this AI stuff, it's like muddying the waters. I mean, it even muddies the waters of discussion, because like you could be in an argument with someone on Twitter about politics or any other issue, and it turns out that the person you're talking about is actually a bot made by someone to just stir the pot and cause division, or just waste your time with nonsense, and that's one issue that I see on Twitter, is that there's just a lot of bots. And because Elon basically made it to where you basically pay for free speech, or at least you pay to have your speech be more amplified than others. You got these people who make a billion bot accounts, and then pay and then pay however much to get the blue check mark, so then they show up in the top of the replies. And also, because of the blue check mark, you're able to monetize your posts. People just make rage bait all the time, and so then they get at the top of their replies. It's just a mess. It's like this discourse is basically ruined online because of the AI, and art is being destroyed because of AI slop just going everywhere. I mean, odds are on Facebook, you might have seen a post that's clearly AI generated that gets 50,000 likes, because it's just like, oh yeah, hit the like button if you love Jesus. And it's like Jesus with 10 hands and like a droopy eyes, and he's like driving a truck with 50 American flags, even though it doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, and people, that's probably because people are not really reading and are really looking at it. They just read that one little part and hit the like, and not going off into detail to read what it says and what it's talking about, or even thinking about if it's fake. I mean, it's been all over the news also that that AI can record your voice
Oh
and
yeah, it definitely can.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because that's one issue. Because there have been some stories of people who have been falling into scams, basically, where it's like someone could use an AI voice of you, or like an AI voice of a loved one saying like, "Oh, hey, Dad, I need money.
Yeah.
I need money. I'm in jail right now. Please send $500 to this Cash App." And stuff like that. And it's like, instead of it being like a robotic voice, the voice might sound very lifelike. Because the thing is, it's very easy to replicate someone else's voice via AI. All it takes is just someone to get enough recordings of you and putting into one of these AI applications, and then boom, they got an AI version of you saying stuff you would never say. And that's another ethical concern, really, is that like, people can just use AI to make stuff up. I remember, like, before the election, I saw on Twitter someone used AI of Martin Luther King to basically endorse Trump, basically. And it's like regardless of what you think Martin Luther King would vote in 2024, I think it's just wrong to use his voice. You're basically putting words in a dead man's mouth at that point,
Yeah, we know people don't care about that. So let me ask you this: how do we protect ourselves from the AI like that, from the deep fakes? With our pictures already been out over all social media everywhere. How can you protect yourself from AI to let someone that know, hey, that's really not me saying that. Yes, that's just somebody, the computer putting words in my mouth. How can we protect ourselves from that, or can you?
Well, the best way to prevent yourself from being used from AI is just minimize the amount of yourself that's online, minimize the amount of publicly available videos, photos, recordings of your voice, and stuff like that. And another way to kind of just fight off against any deep fake misinformation is just to do research and figure out the tells on how to detect when something is AI generated or not. Because there, although there are tools that are like made to detect when something is AI or not, those things are very inconsistent. So it's very important to just do research on how to tell when something is AI or not. If you see a photo of a family out camping, and in that photo the campfire is inside the tent, you know something's wrong.
Right. Yeah, yeah, most definitely. But will people really look at that? Because sometimes people just look at something and not really look at it, like look deep off into it, and they're fooled by it every single time, And I've seen some of the videos. It was one, I think Jerry Jones was talking shit about somebody, and he was clearly not saying that, but that computer had him
Oh yeah.
moving exactly to the facial expressions and everything like that. So, but in people, in my opinion, are not going to limit themselves to the internet now. They're going to increase usage. Like they say, people gonna walk around pretty soon and have tech net because they like this right here, looking down, texting the whole time trying to get somewhere. But however, I have a friend of mine, a classmate. He's about 50, about 57, and he don't have no Facebook. He don't have no type of internet life at all. He don't even use GPS at all. So, which everything with that is tracking us. Our phones is tracking us. The phones are listening to us. Everything. So our voice is out there, whether we want it or not. We're being recorded when you walk into the stores. Everywhere you're being recorded. So AI is that could be an AI program. You go through the airport, you scan your passport or whatever, boom, they got you everything they know about you right there already. So AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. But let me ask you: have you used AI recently? And if so, what do you think about it in your experience with it?
Yeah, I've actually have experimented with AI before because I think it's important to kind of understand the thing you don't like. I think it's just helpful to try and understand it. So yeah, I've messed around with ChatGPT, and
Right.
it's like ChatGPT. It can be useful in some cases, but it's like when it comes to ChatGPT, it makes up a lot of stuff too. It hallucinates
Yeah.
half of the time, and it's like the OpenAI people. They're basically fighting for the right to be able to take people's data whenever they want, just to train their machine. And it's like it is very unethical for like creatives, especially independent artists and creatives. Like imagine if you came up with with a song, for example, and let's just say someone decides to make some generative AI music tool, and they use your song as training data, and then all of a sudden you got a song that got generated that sounds like yours but is different enough, and then it's like, oh, these people just took my song. It's like heck, now I can't make a career making music because it's just like I got to compete with hundreds of AI generations of my song that are slightly different enough to technically maybe be considered fair use, but it's like now you're competing with a bunch of slop out there that was built off of something you worked on.
Right. Yeah. I agree. And just to kind of touch base on Chat GPT, uh, and something you said earlier, we have to do our own research because ChatGPT is programmed by someone, and it's not always correct. It don't always give you the correct answer. And I say that because I've said this once before. I watched a guy make ChatGPT apologize because he knew the correct answers or questions to ask. So ChatGPT had said, "I'm sorry, sir, you are absolutely correct." Blah blah blah, whatever, whatever. And I'm not going to call his name out, but we sometimes think that Google and ChatGPT has all of the correct answers, and I just don't believe they do. We have to dig further into it and research a little bit further because they don't have all of the correct
Yeah,
answers.
definitely. It's basically with this AI stuff, you got to fact check it. And that's one thing that I'm concerned about because the thing is, a lot of the younger people that are in college right now, some of them are relying on ChatGPT to write their essays for them. And it's like, that's not going to prepare you for the real world where like you actually have to do your own research and work and stuff like that. You can't just rely on ChatGPT to write you an essay because it's like, depending on the topic, it might make a bunch of stuff up, and then now you got an F because the AI is talking about a war that never even happened.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely have to fact check. But the thing about it is now we're on this fast pace. Everything is so fast. So I mean, I even use Chat GPT a lot of times to come up with the description for my topics. And one time I did not proofread it, and I posted that shit, and I was like, oh, I had to take that shit off because it wasn't the direction that I was going. So, but so many people now don't like to read. They don't like to this. They don't like to do any of that. They just want to go on. They want the shortcut. And it's a fast paced world. I mean, that's even why, like now, I mean, you can pass by a lot of drive throughs. People don't want to go sit down and eat. They want to go through the drive through. They want to get it through the drive through and they want to drive and eat. What's your rush? Where are you going to? You ain't going nowhere but home. If you needed it a little bit earlier, then you should have got there a little bit early and sit down and eat. But it's just a fast paced world. And Chat GPT and AI is just making that a lot more convenient for people. And at the same time, people are going to be losing jobs behind it. But that's just what I think. I
Hmm.
It's open there, Drake. I mean, Drake, you've answered pretty much all of my questions. So I mean, this was your podcast that you reached out to me and wanted to talk about, the MAGA agenda, the AI and the MAGA agenda. So it's open to you, or if you don't have anything else, we can get ready to go and close this podcast out.
Let's see. I think one thing I could say is have empathy for your fellow man. Look out for those close to you, especially if any policies that might come up in this administration that might negatively affect them. Try to help them out. Because I think one thing that at this time in society is I think we forget to have empathy and like care for our fellow man. And I think once we start to remember to focus on that, I think America will become a better place for everyone, regardless of their background. And I think once we go beyond Democrat, Republican, and once we dismantle the two-party system, because honestly, I could go on and on about that, because I think that's the main issue is that right now we always got two options, and our votes are mostly lesser of two evils. But if we get like ranked choice voting into the system, if we get actual politicians that are more for the working class, then we can definitely, have a system that benefits us. Like imagine if one day we could live in a society where we're not afraid to take an ambulance to the hospital when we're bleeding out because we don't want to end up in debt.
Right. Yeah, most definitely, and not just the ambulance, but when they call for that helicopter to get you there or fly you there, the bill on that I'm sure is crazy. But I mean, are you thinking about that at that time when you laying there half cut up and half whatever? No, you think about it and then you just decide to make payments on it later. But it would definitely be nice to not have to worry about the high cost of medical and the I think the prescriptions and stuff like that are going up. I've seen some info about the Democratic Party trying to slice that and cut it in half and stuff like that. But I've seen also where the Republican Party is saying, heck no, we're gonna leave that on up there. And I mean, they can both be getting money from either side to push their agenda. I really don't know. The politics up there is crazy. But that's just my little spill on their thoughts. You got anything else, Drake? Because I'm pretty much tapped out. But unless you got some more you want to leave with the people.
Yeah, I guess I'll leave with this. If you're not happy with the Trump administration, if you aren't happy with the results of 2024 election, the best thing to do is just to get out there now and figure out ways to organize, figure out a way to join some political movements, figure out about candidates that support your interests. Don't just wait until 2020 8 to vote for whoever the Democrats or the Republicans pick. Actually try to get certain people elected, whether it be joining political campaigns, even, who knows? Maybe one day you could be a campaign manager for someone who one day becomes the next president, get involved. Don't just sit on the sidelines and just, like I said earlier, buy your ticket to sit on one of the team sides. Actually get on the field.
Whew, that's well said. Get on the field. Don't be on the sideline. Actually get on the field. Be the quarterback, and start that program up and, get out there to make that change. Because you said something earlier, and some of my guests also said something also about, those midterm elections, and those local elections, to wind up falling that party or that person to see about them getting winning your vote over. So, all right. Well, that being said, ain't nobody mad but the devil. That's all you got for him now, Drakus?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, once again, I appreciate you for reaching out to me, wanting to come and be a guest on Wizzo Talk. And anytime you like to come back, just let me know and we'll make it happen, whether that be solo or if you like to come on with a panel of people, because I'm always thinking of topics and I'm always trying to bring something different. So those of you that's watching now, or maybe you watch it later, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because here on Wizzo Talk, you have no idea what you're going to get. I'm thinking of topics daily and I'm reaching out to people daily. I can't tell you how many messages I send out on Messenger and ask people would they like to be a guest. And then sometimes they still stand me up and don't fucking show up. But it is what it is. I said I wasn't going to drop the F-bomb, but that one slipped out.
It's okay. You got one. Some shows have a policy of one F-bomb per season. Okay. I guess this is your one F-bomb.
Well, you never know what you're going to get her. But anyway, with that being said, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate your support. I am Paul Wizzo, my guest Dracos, and we up out of here.